Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today's video we're going to be debunking a myth that is starting to gain traction in the community. In 2023, I made a video going over the shorty gyro cables for the 1987 Pro Performer and Pro Freestyle Tour, as well as some other ways to help identify a real T model from a restored or converted one. Another YouTuber responded to that video, and in the comment section he assured me that he knows the 100% way to determine a real T model Pro Freestyle Tour. He didn't articulate in the comments how he would do that, but he did make a video explaining it, the 100% guaranteed way to know at an actual quick glance. Now, I'm paraphrasing, but you can read his comments here. I'm not going to mention this YouTuber by name or link his video, but we are going to look at some of the facts and either disprove or prove his claim that real Pro Freestyle Tour T models have double thick rear dropouts, while regular Pro Freestyle Tours have single thickness rear dropouts. So get yourself a cold drink and some popcorn. First things first, if you're new to the channel, please take a second to subscribe and hit that like button. I know a lot of you watch my videos and forward them, even rewatch them. So just let me say thank you for that. It's really appreciated. However, many of you are not subbed, so just do it. It helps me grow the channel and deliver more content. Let's get the rule set out of the way. I'm speaking about 1987 to 1988 GT here. That is what the subject matter was focused on. Not about anything before and not after. Not speaking about Harrow, Robinson, etc. We could include 1989 in the argument, but for the sake of continuity, as GT dropped the Pro Performer in 1989, we will stick to 1987 to 1988. Rule 1, and some of you already know this, there is no difference whatsoever between a 1987 and 1988 Pro Performer, Pro Freestyle Tour, and of course the T model. In terms of the frame set, the bars, and the seat post, if you take all three models, remove the accessories like the brakes, the cranks, cables, etc., then remove the decals, and then finally strip them of their paint so that they're bare metal, you would not be able to tell them apart. They are identical. GT simply upgraded the peripheral parts, and models progressed up the tier, so did the parts. The Pro Performer being above the Performer, the Pro Freestyle Tour being above the Pro Performer, and of course the T model being the top shelf, decked out with all the bells and whistles. I can make a video just describing these differences of the parts alone, but back to the point. There are no differences between the frame, fork, bars, seat post, between the Pro Freestyle Tour and the Pro Freestyle Tour Team model. But there are custom modified frames and prototype frames that do manage to slip out of the factory and into the community. It is very possible that people like Josh White and Lord Volker, who were getting massive air on ramps back in the day, would end up trashing their dropouts and bending axles all the time. So, particular frame and forks may have been modified. According to Eddie Fiola during an interview, he mentioned that GT would constantly swap his bike parts, frames, etc. as they got dirty or damaged. Those bikes and frames would be given away. It is plausible that such a factory anomaly existed, and they were handed out to the public. We know for a fact that this happens.
They literally, if my bike was dirty or scratched or anything, that GT gave me another bike. And they didn't want the old one back. So my neighbors had bikes, my cousins had bikes, just had everything under the sun.
Nobody's ever seen a GT Pro Freestyle Tour or a T model in 1987 to 1988 with double thick dropouts from the factory. Evidence is abundant. First of all, after having conversations with Chip Bowers at C4 Labs, who has processed thousands of these frames, he has never once seen a GT like that with a double thick rear dropout. Keep in mind that Chip has even owned NOS frame sets. Then there's Eric Waiton, E-Rock, a pillar in the BMX community who has bought and sold more GT parts than any of us could ever imagine. Eric has also stated he has never seen such a unicorn in the hundreds of frames and bikes that he has flipped over the many years, agreeing that they are identical. We also have heard from large GT collectors like Dennis Gonzalez, who has put 30 or 40 Pro Freestyle Tours in his collection, all dressed up with the best parts, and he has not seen such a double thick dropout. Moreover, I own Survivor 1988 GT Pro Freestyle Tour Team model. 100% real deal. Here's how I purchased it. Here's how it sits today. and the dropouts are the same size as all of the rest of the Pro Freestyle Tours I own. Asking another high-profile restoration shop, Ernie's 80s. He's also 100% in agreement that there are zero differences in the frame. Roger Price, well known for repairing and fabricating these old-school BMX frames and cloning everything from Pro Freestyle Tours and Aggressors and Slammers and Dino Pro Comps and etc. Amazing artwork. He also agrees that he's never seen a double thick dropout on a GT in 1987 through 1989. However, there are some prototype Dino Slammers in 1989 that did have thicker dropouts. In fact, some have been confirmed to have triple dropouts. According to a factory rider, the only companies who ever made special frames for their factory or team rider models was Hutch and VDC, never GT, at least not in 1987 to 1988. Now for some proof. This information comes courtesy of Chris Wong. Chris was lucky enough to get his hands on Gary Pollock's last bike while he rode for GT. This is a 1992 GT Pro Freestyle Tour team model from the factory for a factory rider. It has been confirmed by Gary Pollock himself. Chris is not the owner of the bike. He was just tasked with cleaning it up, and it's currently in the hands of Ramp Up to John BMX. The rear dropouts were measured, and they are the same as the Pro Freestyle Tour from the same year. A real team model confirmed for a GT-sponsored rider with the same bike you and I could buy in 1992. The dropouts on my 1988 Pro Freestyle Tour in original chrome plate was probably the best way to measure the dropout thickness, as powder coat adds material. My chrome 88 measures 127 thousandths of an inch, or an eighth of an inch for splitting hairs. The range of measurement was between 0.127 to 0.148, or 3.23 millimeter to 3.76 millimeter. The 1992 GT that Gary Pollock had measured 0.177 or 4.5 millimeter, as the later GTs have thicker dropouts. This is not special, it's just normal. And we measured a regular 1992 GT Pro Freestyle Tour, and that also measured 177 or 4.5 millimeter. Zero difference. And for some investigation. In my profession, we weld to ASME Section 8, so I'm pretty familiar with weld types, NDT, PMI, and general fabrication. Factory welds on the 1987 through 1989 GT, Dinos, Robinsons, etc., where the 4130 chromoly materials were used, was always GTAW, or TIG. What is shown in the video from the YouTuber of the true 1987 T model is sealed up tubes and stick weld. Definitely not factory welds by GT, perhaps modified by a rider or a user in the 30 years since it was new. In conclusion, we can say simply that production Pro Freestyle Tour team models are the same as the regular Pro Freestyle Tours with the same dropouts. But it is plausible that there were modified frames for specific people. Which leads me to the Dino lineup in 1989 and in early 90s, where GT had double and even triple thick dropouts on the Pro Comp and the Slammer for very important reasons. As some of you might know, Dave Volker rode for GT, well, Dino, and some of you might not know, so did the late Miracle Boy, Dave Mirra. Mirra was sponsored and rode for GT and Dino from 1989 to 1991. May he rest in peace. Both Daves would absolutely destroy the frames, and GT was experimenting, trying to dial in on a design that would withstand the brutality of Mirra and Volker's ramp riding. The early Dino Slammers, built December of 1989 through about February of 1990, were unicorns. In all, there are about 5 different versions of the Slammer. Basically, the big bash guard design, the small bash guard design, double drops, triple drops, and the 5th version, which were comp-style dropouts. Clear as mud? Yeah, don't bother looking in the catalog for guidance either. At any rate, the double and triple dropout frames were experimental, and they went into production, aiming at factory and sponsored riders. So it is plausible that thicker dropouts were for real team models, just not for GT. So this myth is busted. So let me know in the comment section what you guys had, what you ran back in the day. Maybe you had a special modified or custom frame or something that was from the factory that was unique. That brings us to the end of the video. I hope you liked it. Maybe you learned something new or interesting. Let me know in the comment section what you had back in the day. And make sure you get subscribed and like the video. So set yourself up for notifications so you don't miss any upcoming content. Now get back to those builds. Thanks for watching. Stay safe, and remember, tomorrow is not guaranteed.